Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is Streaming Idiots. I am so excited. I'm delighted that you're here watching live, Facebook Live, YouTube, and EasternShoreBroadcasting.com. I'm delighted if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube after the fact. If you're watching us live, please come on over to EasternShoreBroadcasting.com, and that way you can get in on the chat room. It's at EasternShoreBroadcasting.com. You've got the YouTube feed there and the chat room, and so you can have all sorts of fun. Where to start? Oh my gosh, where to start? We had a blast last week at StreamCon. StreamCon started with the StreamCon. Oh, StreamCon? StreamCon, a live streaming conference here in the United States in Atlanta. Last week started Thursday night. It was a ball, had a keynote address by Martin Sinclair, the CEO of vMix. On Friday morning, Tim Vandenberg, the COO of vMix, had a presentation. I think it was on Saturday afternoon. The vMix guys did the vMix Fun Time live show for June from StreamCon. I mean, it was great because it was a community effort and we threw it all together. It was so much fun, so much fun. Hey Sam, I see Sam and Gerald have popped in for the show. Glad to have you guys. StreamCon was just a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people that I kind of knew, and now I've got faces to go with names, and it was just a real treat. I was able to make a presentation on, I think, Friday morning about streaming gear, and that presentation inspired me. You say, how could you be inspired by your own presentation? Well, that's me. I mean, it's not a very high bar that I have to cross, but I had all that gear there, and I'm looking at all the gear I brought, and I was like, I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I'm not using those things. I just have them. Why am I not using them? For example, how is my audio sound to you today? Does it sound different? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it different? Is my voice pitched higher or lower? Is there more quality to it? I don't know, because I can't tell, but I'm using a different audio system than I did before. I've still got my Audio-Technica AT897 shotgun mic, which I just love because it means I don't have to wear a lapel or have a big mic hanging off to the side. Rich says it's rock solid. Thank you very much. And the difference is the same mic, the same PC. But instead of using my Behringer X1204 USB, which was always a little bit of a struggle, I'm using a piece of equipment that I've had for a year. I've just never used regularly. I used it for testing. So, do you ever say that to yourself? Oh, I'm just going to buy this for testing. Well, I bought it for testing and I never used it for real. So I got to tell you what it is. It's an audio interface. It's not a mixer. It's the Behringer, and I don't just love Behringer, but it just happened to be in my price range. You know what I mean? The Behringer UMC404HD. It also comes with the name Euphoria as part of it. And basically, it's a 4-input audio device. So I can connect 4 XLR mics or the 1/4-inch line in like you would have for a guitar or something like that. And so this thing was like $99 on Amazon. Excuse me. Sometimes they're a little hard to find because I think Behringer makes a whole bunch of them and then they sell out and then they say, oh, we'll get some more made. So I got one, $99. I'm only using one channel of it, but the beauty of it is in a multi-mic situation, in a multi-audio situation, each audio source, mic number 1, mic number 2, 3, 4, each one comes into vMix as a separate audio device. So you can use the audio mixer in vMix the way it was intended to be used, because now you've got control over each individual person's audio. You can bump up the gain. You need to give them a little extra boost. You want to add some more lows. It's got an EQ to it. If you've got a remote mic and they've got some background noise in it and you want to try to use a noise gate to kind of knock that out, vMix has got a noise gate. If you've got somebody that's just really, really loud, you can add some compression to him to kind of keep him down, even with somebody else. All of that is in the audio, in the audio inputs in vMix. Plus, you can add some delay and do some other fancy stuff too that I don't even understand. In fact, I don't understand most of it, but that's okay. That's how easy it is to do. So I got the Behringer out, and probably the toughest part about that was making sure I had the drivers configured correctly. I'm actually monitoring the audio not through the speaker jack on my PC, which is what I did before, but I'm actually monitoring it off the jack on the Behringer, and then I'm telling my PC to output audio to the Behringer, and I'm telling vMix to send audio, the master audio, out so I can hear everything else. And then I just turned my mic down in the audio in vMix in the audio input just for my mic. I turned that one down so it doesn't show up in my earphones. And Charlie, if you're watching, we need to talk about how to do that. That's a good stuff. So I love. Rich says it's $79 today. I might go buy one just to have one. Michael says, do you find it as flexible with fine-tuning as a traditional mixer would be? Michael, I don't fine-tune anything. You should know better than to ask me a question like that. I play until I get things sounding good, but it's kind of like a kid with rubber bands and paper clips. Sooner or later, he's going to figure out, twing, he can hit you with one, and sooner or later, I'm gonna get audio that sounds pretty decent. So I'm pretty happy with that change. And that was, again, I was at StreamCon. I saw my Behringer audio interface sitting there on the table, with a lot of, in fact, it's still covered with dust. And I wasn't using it. I said, man, I got to use this thing. The second thing that I wasn't using here in my studio, and you would think, Tom, come on, man. I've got a PTZ Optics camera. Now I'm a PTZ Optics reseller. Of course, I resell for Magewell and vMix and X Keys too. And if you're interested in those, don't go anywhere else and get them. Come to me, and you get me with it. You can go to our store at easternshorebroadcasting.com, and all that stuff's in the store. Anyway, so I've got this PTZ Optics camera that I bought. It was my demo camera when I first signed up as a dealer. It's a 12X. SDI, which means it's also HDMI and IP and composite, and it has a mic jack on it. And I've got it hooked up SDI right now, and I've also got it hooked up IP. I hooked it up IP so that I could set the IP address in the camera, but I left it there in case I want to do some stuff by being able to control the camera in vMix over IP. But since it's a studio environment and I'm concerned about lip sync, I want to take the SDI feed out of the camera because the IP feed has a little bit of latency to it. Now, we did find out at StreamCon that Matt Davis, the head engineer at PTZ Optics, has been working on that and has got that latency down. Rumor is under 100 milliseconds. It was like up to 300 before. So if he's got it down under 100 milliseconds, that's a tenth of a second. That's 3 frames in 30 frames a second. That's getting real close to being able to use that for lip without having to do a whole lot of mic adjustment. Anyway, sidetracked. So I've got this camera set up here. It's set for 1080p, 30 frames a second. Now, it doesn't do 29.97. It doesn't do 59.94i. It just, or P for that matter. It just does 60s and 30s, 50s and 25s. Just the way it is. Now, they may come out with the others later, but for right now, that's what they got. So this one is set for 1080p, 30 frames a second. I actually tried it at 60 frames a second, but the capture card, it's a Blackmagic mini monitor. The capture card only does 30 frames a second, so I said, never mind. It didn't make any difference. Anyway, so I got distracted by a long link that Michael Wilson posted in the chat room. We'll spank his hand later. So I hooked up this camera and I thought, this is good. And all of a sudden I was orange. Part of it was I was wearing an orange shirt and there wasn't enough light in the studio. But when I came in this morning with a blue shirt, I wasn't blue. I was still kind of pink. And so it took a little while to get the color right. And thanks to some of you that were here early for the pre-show for the pre-show, I appreciate your help in getting the color dialed in. And what I found out is I've got 3 different monitors now, and I'll tell you about monitor number 3, monitor number 3, because that's a new one on my desk here. I'll tell you about that one in just a second. But my 2 main monitors here, let's turn the full screen on. Yeah, that looks like, it looks a little washed out in this one. In this one I look kind of pink, and in this one over here I look beautiful. So, I mean, not beautiful, but you know what I mean. It looks normal. So change number 2 was to use a PTZ Optics camera. And I had one of those telescoping arms thing that I had my Canon HF R200 on, and the camera's too heavy for that, so I had to set up a little tripod, but it's not too bad. It doesn't take up too much space. And so I'm really pleased with the change. Now, I am also, side note, and boy, I didn't think I was going to spend the whole time talking about this, and so I'm going to try not to. As a side note, I decided to stream. Generally, I stream Facebook and YouTube at 720p, and then Facebook gets the 2.5 megs, and YouTube gets 2.5 megs bit rate, and Facebook only gets 1.5. And I thought, you know, YouTube is going to transcode this anyway. If you can't watch it at 720, you're watching it at 480 or whatever the next one is. If you can't watch 1080, then it'll transcode it down to 720 or whatever you can watch. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot out 1080. Now, this is the guy that probably 2 years ago was like, do I need to go to high def? Do I need to go more than 480? And then I said, okay, I'll work my way up to 720. Well, now I'm up to 1080, and I guess that's good because next year I'll probably be doing 4K. Anyway, so we're doing 1080p, and the PC is saying, you know, total CPU is 10%. I've got a GPU monitor there, but it's not active, and I'll try that again and tell you about that next week. So the main production PC is just cruising, not a problem. And you know that I generally send by SDI the output from my production PC to my Asus laptop, my ROG laptop with the NVIDIA 965M card or whatever it is in it to do the graphics. And it just hums along and sends out the stream and records it. Well, when I was at StreamCon, and because I brought my whole rack of 3 PCs to StreamCon. I know it was silly, but it was just comforting to have it there in case I needed it. So I'm at StreamCon. I'm there with my big 4U, which is my main guy, the guy that's doing this stuff. And then I've got 2 other little 2Us that I used when I was doing, you know, kind of had, you know, my own version of Skypeosaurus. And when vMix Call came out, you know, that was the end of that. Well, those PCs are just sitting there not doing anything. They're in the rack. They're in the closet, you know, which is just, you know, 8 feet away. And I thought, I wonder, neither one of those have NVIDIA cards. I think they only have like 8 gigs of RAM. Would they, could they, should they, might they work as a streaming recording PC? So I looked at both of them, and one of them has a separate AMD card. And I thought, AMD, vMix doesn't like AMD, remember? vMix doesn't like AMD. It's an AMD HD, whatever it is, 6500 series. So it's you know, kind of mid-level. And it's probably a 5-year-old card. Cost me, I don't know, $80 or whatever it was at the time. And it's in this little PC. You know, it's just a little 2U, so it uses the little mini mini flange thingy on there. And I said, well, let's just try it. Let's try it. We can hook it up by NDI, so we don't have to worry about, you know, anything other than it's got to be plugged into the internet. It's got to be plugged into the internet anyway, because it's going to stream and record. And so I fired it up, freshened up the vMix on there. It's got vMix .53 right now. And I had to remake the profile because it's not complicated, but we'll talk about that in just a second. And I tested it last night as a streaming recording machine. And you know, my thought was, oh, this is not going to be very good. And I'm looking over at it now, and I'm thinking, oh, this is not very good. It's running at 70, 80%. So I'll be interested to look at the recording and interested to look at what Facebook sees and what YouTube sees in their recordings after the fact, as well as what I record locally, and see, are there glitches, are there drop frames, are we having issues there? How are we looking here? That kind of stuff. But I tested it and it seemed to work. It seems like, obviously it could use a little extra something, probably a better graphics card. But I may have put my Asus into retirement or repurpose it for something else. So I'm delighted to repurpose. Now, this secondary machine is based on an Intel i7 2600K processor. That's the second generation with 8 gigs of RAM and the AMD card I was telling you about. And all it's doing is receiving a feed from the main PC over NDI and streaming two places, streaming to YouTube at 1080p and to Facebook Live at 720p. So we'll see how this experiment works. Hasn't hit 80% yet. Hadn't hit 90% yet, but it's tinkling the keys pretty well in the lower 80s. So I think anything above 70 is probably not a good idea. So we'll have to see. So 3 big changes for me, the guy that never changes, based on my experience at Infocom. I upgraded my mixer, or I changed my mixer to an audio interface. I upgraded my camera to the PTZ Optics 12x SDI camera, and I changed out my streaming PC to a very low end. Ken Richards says, Tom, why do you split the duties between the PC? Ken, it started out as an experiment to see if to see if the Asus would handle it, and an experiment to see if this second PC would handle it. And the other thing is that I wanted to get around, or at least the grand plan, I wanted to be able to stream to multiple CDNs at the same time. I wanted to be able to stream to YouTube, to Facebook, to Periscope, and then that's 3. So that's 3. So that's the most that vMix will have on one PC. And I thought, okay, if I add a 4th one, 5th one, or 6th one, obviously I've got to do something else. So I said, let's go ahead and figure out if we can do all this stuff. And what I found was that by kind of dividing and conquering, it made my primary PC a lot snappier because it wasn't trying to stream and record. All it had to do is just make its feed available to the NDI on the local area network here. And Timothy says, yeah, he used to know this guy, this one PC guy, this one man, one PC, one awesome broadcast, and now it's one man, a whole flock of PCs, and the same old boring broadcast you had before. No, okay. I know we're a little over time, but I really have some fun stuff that I wanted to show up for you. Let's see, where did I put it all? Okay, so this is, I got some slides from StreamCon. If you've got questions about what I've done with the second PC or the PTZ Optics camera or the Behringer audio interface, pop them here in chat or shoot me an email, tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com. And but let's just take a look at these, because I think there's some interesting stuff here. This is Martin at his keynote, and you see all the gray hairs in the room. Isn't that great? These tech guys, the tech defies the ages. And Martin gave a really interesting keynote, and he said that the new vMix coming out is going to be vMix 2X. I mean, it's vMix 20, but he wants to use the Roman numeral X, and so it's 2X, or kind of like 2X, meaning 2 times. So he says, okay, well, let's have 2 times as many outputs. So now vMix, instead of having 2 outputs, is going to have 4 outputs. And it's I haven't not quite sure how he's going to do it or how it's going to benefit me, but you never know. I mean, if you're talking about doing a lot of extra things with multiple PCs, or maybe with multiple TVs in a church environment, something like that, that's going to come in handy. The other thing he announced is that he's going to now have 2 recorders. So it's not just enough to make one recording. You can make a recording that's got all your lower thirds and graphics in it, and then have what's called a clean feed and record that too, or maybe record 2 separate feeds, one that would be an English broadcast and one that might be a Spanish broadcast. It's going to be interesting to see just how he implements that. The other thing, and this is a prequel, or whatever you would call it. It's stuff that Martin doesn't ever do, but he let the cat out of the bag at StreamCon, and he gave us permission to go ahead and share it. But it's also going to have 2 production clocks, and you've got a choice of a countdown clock or a time clock, an event clock, a recording clock, the amount of time you spent streaming. There are all sorts of options on that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and that button didn't even work. Uh-oh. Golly gee, I got to fix that. So also, the next day, Tim gave his keynote address, and he talked about, basically how to do essentially a one-man broadcast. And that was a lot of fun. And then later on in the day, he and Martin put together the vMix Fun Time live show and produced it live right there at StreamCon. It was a lot of fun. They were way out of their comfort zone. Here's another shot that shows the set and some of the lighting there. Was really, really, really a treat. Really, really, really a treat. And then on top of that, we got to go out to Jim Jacobs' trailer. And here is Tim and Kenny and Joe and Dave, and I don't know who that is behind Tim, but Jim is showing us how he does the main production there, and you can see he's got like a half a dozen control surfaces in front of him. Very, very, very cool stuff. And of course, Tim couldn't keep his hands off. He had to go over and look and see what was going on with the instant replay. And then there was the let's see, I guess this is the replay machine, and in the middle, the little teeny monitor is the graphics machine. And this is the fun part right here. Here it is, all wires and bells and whistles of all the PCs and the audio. It's all there, so that was just a quick look at what we did at StreamCon. The other thing that's coming up is, oh golly, I almost hate to mention this because it's not my character. It's not my character to ask for help. You know what I mean? I should be able to pull myself up by my own bootstraps, but in this case I can't, because I'm one guy and I only get one vote. Yes, that's right. It's time to vote in the streaming awards. So if you have followed along with the PTZ Optics folks in the streaming awards, now is the time to go vote. streamingawards.com/vote. You can vote for yours truly if you think I am deserving, or if you want to punish the rest of the world. You could do that. And there are a bunch of other streaming folks in there. I think Jim Jacobs is in there for his sports shows. I think Jan Lindy is in there. Who else is in there? I know there's several folks that watch this show regularly that are in there. Oh, Zach Adams is in there, and there may be others too. So go through and find the folks you like and vote for them. Yeah, Kenny says, please explain the voting process. 0 to 3 voting makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I think I'm not really sure, Kenny. The folks I liked, I gave a 3 to. And the rest of them, I didn't score them at all. I just gave them a 3. I gave them a 3. And I did vote for myself. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So go to streamingawards.com/vote and vote. Don't forget to vote. It's important to vote. And let's see what else. Oh, I know. While we were at StreamCon, Howard Jones showed off a really cool implementation of a wireless camera. And I know they did a video about it after everybody left. So this is post StreamCon. Howard and Joe and Alan, I think Alan, if Alan's still here, Alan got in on, and Gerald got in on this. So this is the Howard Jones 6 mile camera from StreamCon. And let me get this video started and get that graphic out of the way. Can I get the graphic out of the way? Yeah, I probably can. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can start this up.
Hi, this is a short demonstration of the wide-eye HDMI wireless transmission system. We've got a camera here with a transmitter and a receiver connected to this monitor here. We're going to send Howard out with the transmitter about 600 meters away onto an overpass over there, and we'll get the video footage transmitted straight back here and show you what it can do. So this is the receiving antenna. We're going to mount it on the window over there, point it towards where the transmitter is going to be, about 600 meters away. Send Howard out with the transmitter, about 600 meters away, to show its function at that range. Just to give you a sort of demonstration, we're moving the camera here just so you can see the lack of delay, or the latency, and give you an idea of the responsiveness.
There you go.
Yeah, we've got connection, yeah, we've got signal, we've got image. Yep, good.
Testing the range at 600 meters. So is that right? About 600 meters? 700 meters?
Ask him to say it again. Ask him to do another take on that. And have him zoom the lens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'll put it on me. And so, yeah, we got a transmission. We got an audience, huh? What's your name? Chillin'. How you? Got some action out here. Alright, so awesome. Let's get the street right here. Off the house.
Take a look at it.
Wasn't that cool? Wasn't that cool? Way to go, Howard Jones. Good work, my friend. And Howard is going to make a kit available to Eastern Shore Broadcasting to resell. So if you're interested in a wireless camera that will go miles and miles, imagine this as a football sideline camera, or as a while we were at StreamCon, the other thing that we did is we took this rig. And he had a digital SLR attached to it, and we took that off. We put on a PTZ camera, and we powered the PTZ camera by battery, and we powered the radio by battery, and we sent it down the road, and we could actually control the PTZ through vMix wirelessly at distance. It was really amazing. So I can see, I was talking with Jim Jacobs, he wants to take one of those and put it up on a tall pole out in the parking lot at the stadium and have it peek over the edge of the stadium so that he can do a shot from there. I think they're just tons and tons of opportunities with this thing, and it was really fun. I didn't go with them on the PTZ hike, but I did go with them on the DSLR hike. In fact, it was Kenny and I that went out there the first time, and we went around the corner. We went behind this solid concrete wall which had a dirt berm behind it, and so we had no more line of sight because the concrete wall with all this dirt was in the way. And then I think Dave took it out later and took it around the corner, around the back of the hotel, so the signal had to bend around the hotel to get to Dave. it was just amazing. It was amazing. So you can imagine what it would do in a football stadium or a basketball arena or something like that, where you don't have anything in the way. It was really cool. And as soon as I can get my hands on one, I'm going to do some more extensive testing with it and just see what will it burn through. What will it burn? Will it burn through foliage? Will it burn? You know, does it bend? How does it get around? Is it just enough signal bouncing off a wall somewhere that it does that? Don't really know, but really excited about that. And hat tip to Howard Jones from New Jersey for putting that together. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So that brings us to the end of the show. If anybody's got any questions, now's a good time to pop them in. We will have a post show here in just a minute. We've gone way over our time. Well, not way over, but a few minutes over our time. So if you want to hang around, if you're watching live and you want to hang around for the post show, please do. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube after the fact, we hope you'll subscribe or come join Streaming Idiots, the Streaming Idiots Facebook group. It's a lot of fun. We've got a bunch of folks in there. I think it's over 600 now. So anyway, coming up, not next week. Well, we're not sure about next week. I'm looking at the wrong calendar. That's dangerous. Ty Young is coming up. Ty is an entrepreneur. She has offices in Orlando and Atlanta, and she uses live streaming. And I wanted to showcase what she's doing because I think it's really neat. And you guys will enjoy it, and I think you'll enjoy her a lot. And I think she's going to be next week. I'll double check and let you know. And then of course we're going to have to get Jim back on the show after his StreamCon adventure and talk a little bit about that. Want to get RJ back on because RJ's doing some great stuff out there too. If you've got an interest in being on this show because you think you've got something cool that you're doing that you'd like to show off, drop me a note, Tom at easternshorebroadcasting.com, and we can chat and we'll see where it goes with that. It may be that I learned something that I didn't know, and I'm always willing to do that. So don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. Don't put it off. You can only vote once, so make it count. What else? We'll see you next week. So hopefully our little outro is going to work here. We'll see, because I'm working with a new X key. This is the X key 80. You can tell that the coloration is not right because I haven't had a chance to set it up perfectly. But I do have my banana key here, so. That's a special deal. We probably ought to give those away as prizes. Anyway, hang around if you're watching live. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we will see you next week. Take care.